Hi, I'm Mark, this is Mark's Tech Vlogs on YouTube, and today I'm going to bring you guys a review of the Chovery CL-1 robot window cleaner. Now, whilst this device you're going to see in this video is branded as Chovery, if you look on places like AliExpress, you'll see hundreds of these that look exactly the same, branded in lots of different ways. Now, Chovery does seem to be the most common brand, but obviously all of these are going to be exactly the same, just branded slightly differently. And this is a robot that can clean your windows. It has little removable pads on it and can suction onto the inside or outside thanks to the vacuum inside it. Now, this was something I purchased myself after looking around to see if something could help me with the state of my windows without me having to spend a lot of money every few weeks on a window cleaner. And the windows you're going to see cleaned in this video are pretty dirty because I have not cleaned them in the 2 years I've lived in this house. Now, as I said, I purchased this myself and it cost me £60 on AliExpress including shipping. It's also available on Amazon for around £150. I'll put links below to both, but essentially if you want a bit of extra peace of mind and kind of the knowledge that Amazon returns are pretty good if it doesn't work out for you, then actually the Amazon link might be better for you. But like I said, I'll link both below. But let's kick off and talk about what you get in the box. So in the box you get the robot itself, you get a total of 10 cleaning pads, you get instructions, a power cable, a small water bottle and some spare cleaning rings as well. Finally, you also get a remote control. This remote doesn't come with batteries and takes 2 AAA batteries. So let's talk about the design of this robot. So the robot itself is a largely white design. It has a power button and a cord button input at the bottom, a large handle for gripping it, and then at the top there's the branding and this kind of black area with 3 lights on. The left hand light shows you the power status, the middle light shows you any abnormal statuses such as when it loses power during a clean, and then the right hand light shows you the battery state, so it's orange when it's charging and it's green when it's charged. On the back of this device there are 2 circular plastic pads, and this is where you attach the cleaning pads which stretch over it and have elastic edges that pop under the bottom of it. These protrude slightly from the edge of the robot to help it get close to edges. The base robot also has a permanent safety rope with a buckle attached. This is so you can attach it to something in your home while you're cleaning, so if it does lose its suction and power and the battery dies and it falls off your window, it's not going to fall to its death. So let's talk about specification. So this has a 5600 PA suction power. This is used to make sure it's securely held onto your window but can also still move around for cleaning. And actually this is pretty powerful and on par, if not bigger, than some robot vacuum cleaners. Now, Chovery say it can run for up to 120 minutes. But the thing is, despite its built-in battery, it can't run independent of mains power. This means I think what they're talking about when they say 120 minutes runtime is all to do with temperature control. As I said, it does have a battery built in, but this is largely used as a backup. This means if it was to lose power during a cleaning cycle, it won't fall off a window, it'll make some noises and the battery will kick in and keep it suctioned. This does work and is a great safety feature to have. It also supports 3 different cleaning modes which you can set via the little remote that comes with it. These are up to down, left to down and right to down. However, it's worth saying that it doesn't matter where you plonk it on your window to start with, it still covers the whole thing and then does seem to return to where you left it in my experience. That remote also has arrows for manually moving the vacuum and also start and stop buttons. The only way to turn on or off the actual suction is via the device itself, and that's done by holding down that power button for a few seconds. This is actually pretty sensible because the last thing you'd want to do is turn off the suction using a remote during a cycle. Now, of course, it doesn't just have to be used for windows, and you can easily use it for things like shower screens as well. Chovery also give the example that you could use it on something like a bathroom floor. Now, of course, this works, but this device doesn't have a built-in water dispenser, so it's not really going to be very effective. In terms of the area it can cover, it requires a minimum window size of 45 by 45 centimeters, and you should only use it on glass that is above 3 millimeters thick. This is going to be most kind of modern double glazing, and probably even things like car windows pretty easily. So let's talk about using it because I've been trying to put this thing through its paces. So first thing first, it's worth mentioning that the manual says you should charge it to 100% before you use it. This is so that battery has plenty of juice to kick in if you need it to. This, however, isn't something you actually have to do, and as you can see from the orange status light in a lot of my clips, this isn't something I do. And really, if you can just secure that pull cord or keep an eye on it, then having that battery fully charged doesn't matter too much. It's just personal preference, and they obviously just recommend it as a safety thing. But it will charge as it's used. So when you want to come and use it, the first thing you want to do is attach the pads. These easily stretch around the 2 plastic pads on the bottom of the device. Next, you're going to want to attach the power cord, which screws in so you can't accidentally pull it out during use. Then you're going to want to hold down the power button. Once suction is up and running, you can place it on your window and let go. At this point, you may or may not want to secure that safety rope somewhere as well. Of course, it's recommended that you do, but you don't have to. You can then use the remote control to set the mode and press play to set it off. Now officially, the way Chovery recommends you use this is using a set of pads to do a dry clean, switch to another set of pads and do a wet clean, and then switch to another set of pads and do a final dry clean. And realistically, doing it this way is the most time consuming, but it does give the best results. However, because it is time consuming, that's not what I've done most of the time. So this is what I've done and it has been working for me. So what I've taken to doing it is taken to using one set of pads per window, not pane, one whole window. And what I'll do is a dry wipe first and send it across all my panes. I'll then spray the window with some window cleaner and set it off to do its wet route. I then took those pads off and used a new set for the next window. One thing you do want to make sure of is that you don't make the window too wet. And in the instructions, they actually say about spraying the pads rather than the window. In using it, however, I found that spraying the window is more efficient. What you don't want to do is make the window too wet, however, because this will smear more, and the manual also says it might then struggle with suction. For that reason, I've been pretty careful with how much I've used, but I haven't had any issues with it falling off. And the system I've adopted in using this basically means I can do all the windows in my house without having to stop and wash some pads in between. And as you can see from all the video clips I'm throwing in, this robot does a pretty good job, even on windows that haven't been cleaned for over 2 years. And there is genuinely a difference between the before and after of my windows, and I'm really impressed with this. The only things it does struggle with a bit more are kind of stubborn stains, so things like crusted on bird poo. And for things like that, you're going to want to use a scrub and brush yourself if you can reach. Luckily for me, I've been able to open even upstairs windows wide enough in order to get the vacuum onto all the panes. This is both inside and outside. The only part where this robot struggles is the corners. And that's because those round pads means it can't get into the very bottom corners of your windows. And that is the main downside. The second downside is that that remote isn't the most responsive remote in the world. And I do find you've got to be pretty close to the robot for it to kick in. It does, however, work whether the robot is facing you or facing the other way. Of course, you'd expect this, so it could work whether you're on the inside or outside, but it's worth noting. The other downside is that obviously this is more time consuming than hiring a window cleaner. And this is especially true if, like me, you've got lots of kind of smaller panes rather than kind of something like a massive French door. And basically this means you have to hang out with this robot while it's doing its thing. And this is so you're ready to move it onto its next pane or move it outside or something like that. And this may or may not be something that bothers you. So for me, I've just used that time to catch up with YouTube and Duolingo and just do things on my phone and laptop while I'm in that room. But it can be quite time consuming. So to do all 7 windows inside and out in my house and the door, it took me about an hour and a half. Of course, that included moving extension leads to other rooms and changing pads and all that kind of stuff. The other thing worth noting is that it can leave rings on your windows where you remove it at the end. It doesn't leave these throughout the clean because it's obviously gliding across, but it is when you turn off the suction at the end and remove it, you can find 1 or 2 rings from where the pad's finally rested. And I think this is probably why Chovery recommend doing that final dry clean, because actually I found that they do just wipe off with a bit of kitchen towel. I've also found that following the original instructions of doing a dry wash, a wet wash and a dry wash, each with different pads, doesn't leave this issue. But all in all, what's the verdict on this robot window cleaner? And actually, I think even if you went for the Amazon price point of £150, this is still something that would pay for itself over time if you're not having to hire a window cleaner. And the time it takes isn't a massive deal if it's something you only use once every couple of months. And in using this, I found that it does a great job, and it's got the advantage of being able to do things like shower screens as well. It's really good at navigating around the edges and detecting the window frames and covering the whole area. It's also great that you get 10 pads included, because that's great for making sure you can work around a big chunk of your house at once. And then when they're dirty, you can easily just throw them in the washing machine. The main downside, of course, is that corners do get missed, and then it can be a little bit time consuming. All in all, however, I am really happy with my purchase and much more impressed than I was expecting to be when I ordered this. If you guys have got any questions, do stick them below. If you do want to pick one up, I'll put links below to AliExpress and also Amazon. Those links are affiliate links, so if you use those, I'll get a very small cut of what you spend, and that just helps me keep making reviews for you guys, because this isn't my full-time job and I never take sponsorship. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys again soon.